We've all done it. We've been so obsessed with something, we've done something other people may call stupid. Only in hindsight do we realize that it was stupid. But sometimes what everyone else thought was stupid, you can always look back and realize that you did what may not have been safe, but it was worth it. Because you did it for the right reasons. You did it because you loved. Hello everyone, welcome to Aude and Tulava, where we are walking our way through Tolkien's Legendarium. Today is part 1 of book 2, chapter 3, The Ring Goes South. Don't forget to check the description for a couple of my favorite versions of the books if you'd like to purchase them and help out the channel. And with that said, let's dive in. After the council, the hobbits hold their own mini council in Bilbo's room. This is where we learn a little more about Pippin and why he's here on this adventure, not to mention the other hobbits. "It's most unfair," said Pippin. "Instead of throwing him out and clapping him in chains, Elrond goes and rewards him for his cheek." While Frodo seems almost taken aback because he feels consigned to like a terrible fate and wishes he could just stay in Rivendell, Merry reminds Frodo why they're all there. Loyalty, friendship, love. "But we are envying Sam, not you. If you have to go, then it will be a punishment for any of us to be left behind. Even in Rivendell, we have come a long way with you and have been through some stiff times. We want to go on." They've come all this way and they can't let the job go unfinished. They have a long friendship with Frodo and they want to be there for him. They want to see it through to the end. But it's more than just stick-to-itiveness, which we'll hear a little about from Gimli later in the video. But to them, it's worth it because they love Frodo. They're loyal to him as a friend. And what better way to show love than to make fun of someone? And this is where the hobbitry comes back into the story. I just love how people other than hobbits have even gotten in on it. We pick up with Pippin. "That's what I meant," said Pippin. "We hobbits ought to stick together, and we will. I shall go unless they chain me up. There must be someone with intelligence in the party." "Then you certainly will not be chosen, Peregrine Took," said Gandalf, looking in through the window, which was near the ground. "But you are all worrying yourselves unnecessarily. Nothing is decided yet." Gandalf jumps in here on his favorite punching bag, Pippin. But I can imagine Pippin takes it all in stride, doesn't really bat an eye. In fact, he just complains about nothing being decided. Of course, they've sent out scouts to gather more information so they can make those decisions, which will lead them closer and closer to winter. At this point, Bilbo commiserates with Frodo's lot in a bit of an odd way, which brings us to the poem. Not that the poem itself is weird, it's exactly par for the course for Bilbo. Just listen. "When winter first begins to bite, and stones crack in the frosty night, when pools are black and trees are bare, 'tis evil in the wild to fare." This is, of course, iambic tetrameter, Hobbit meter, when winter first begins to bite. And it's not exactly a great encouragement. It gets so cold, the water freezes in the rocks and breaks them open, and the beautiful trees are devoid of their leaves, and evil roams the wild. Just what a lovely thought. But it sounds like they'll have some time to rest while they learn about the fate of the Black Riders. They can't be destroyed by the waters, but they are unmasked and unhorsed, and Gandalf gives them an unlooked-for hope. "In the meantime, you should try and forget your troubles, Frodo. I do not know if I can do anything to help you, but I will whisper this in your ears. Someone said that intelligence should be needed in the party. He was right. I think I shall come with you." We see Frodo so happy about this that Gandalf decides he needs to take a bow. But why does Gandalf decide he needs to go, other than trying to bring some intelligence to the party? This gives us a great reason to look deeper into Gandalf and touch on the Silmarillion a little bit. "Wisest of the Mire was Elorin. He too dwelt in Lorien, but his ways took him often to the house of Nienna, and of her he learned pity and patience. Of Melian much is told in the Quenta Silmarillion, but of Elorin that tale does not speak. For though he loved the elves, he walked among them unseen, or in form as one of them, and they did not know whence came the fair visions or the promptings of wisdom that he put into their hearts. In later days he was the friend of all of the children of Iluvatar, and took pity on their sorrows, and those who listened to him awoke from despair, and put away the imaginations of darkness." It's like we always have to go a few steps deep to get to the meaning of what's really going on. This is exactly why I love the book and the lore surrounding it. As a bit of a pickup musical term, we need to know Nienna was a Vala and her element is grief, and she grieves for every wound in Arda that the world has suffered. That's why Gandalf learned pity and patience there. She understood the wounds were grievous, but she knew Eru had a plan and a vision for Arda, and it was going to end beautifully, like under his ultimate guidance. Then we see that Elorin, that is, Gandalf, loved the elves and was a friend of all the children of Iluvatar, which is both elves and men, hobbits included. Lauren became Gandalf to help the children of Iluvatar, not because he really wanted to or, craved adventure. He loved them. He wanted to help, even if he had to spend 2,000 years unable to completely be himself. And that's exactly why he joins the party. I would even go as far as saying because he loved Frodo, not just because he, loved the children of Iluvatar. So after 2 months, Elrond summons the hobbits for a meeting. I'm putting that in the next meeting request. I summon you to this council. Frodo confirms he and Sam are definitely going to go on the trip, and they are woefully unprepared. We learn a little bit more about Gandalf and who else is going to be going at this point. The company of the ring shall be 9, and the 9 walkers shall be set against the 9 riders that are evil. With you and your faithful servant, Gandalf will go, for this shall be his great task, and maybe the end of his labors. For the rest, they shall represent the other free peoples of the world, elves, dwarves, and men. Legolas shall be for the elves, and Gimli son of Glóin for the dwarves. They are willing to go at least to the passes of the mountains, and maybe beyond. For men you shall have Aragorn, son of Arathorn, for the Ring of Isildur concerns him closely. Of course, Frodo is excited Strider is going, but also we learn even more about Gandalf here, and I wonder if the hobbits wondered about this or not, if they just took it in stride. This will be Gandalf's great task and the end of his labors. Sam, at the very least, had to be sitting there wondering what in the world Elrond was talking about, or I don't know, maybe not. Maybe Sam thought Gandalf fought the bad guys for a job, which, wouldn't exactly be wrong. The other interesting thing to note is how Elrond phrases the fact that Legolas and Gimli are going to go with them, at least to the passes of the mountains and maybe beyond. So they're not just in it for the long haul. I guess it appears not. What it sounds like is they're open to a little detour south before going back to their homes. They both live a little bit further north in Mirkwood and Erebor, so they'll just take a different route across the mountains and then probably will just split off and head home to prepare for their own wars with their own kind. Like, they're not there to take the attack to Sauron and help forge his downfall. They'll help out for a little while, see if they like everybody else, and then decide if they want to keep going. For the longest time, I thought they were all like gung-ho to go fight evil, but they may have started out just really wanting to get back to their families, which brings us pretty neatly to Aragorn. I would have begged you to come, said Frodo, only I thought you were going to Minas Tirith with Boromir. I am, said Aragorn, and the sword that was broken shall be reforged ere I set out to war. But your road and our road lie together for many hundreds of miles. Therefore, Boromir will also be in the company. He is a valiant man. Aragorn basically says the same thing as Elrond did about Gimli and Legolas. He'll go with Frodo, but only because their roads lie together for a while. Then he'll split off and head to Gondor with Boromir. And we'll see a glimmer of this in the beginning of Book 3, where he essentially says Gandalf's plan was to go with Frodo and Sam while he split off. When I understood this for the first time, I was blown away. Aragorn is still the awesome hero guy, but just in a really different way. Of course, Merry and Pippin flip out when they hear they may not be going with the company. But that will leave no place for us, cried Pippin in dismay. We don't want to be left behind, we want to go with Frodo. That is because you do not understand and cannot imagine what lies ahead, said Elrond. Neither does Frodo, said Gandalf, unexpectedly supporting Pippin. Nor do any of us see clearly. It is true that if these hobbits understood the danger, they would not dare to go. But they would still wish to go, or wish that they dared, and be shamed and unhappy. I think, Elrond, that in this matter it would be well to trust rather to their friendship than to great wisdom. Even if you choose for us an elf lord such as Glorfindel, he could not storm the Dark Tower nor open the road to the fire by the power that is in him. Gandalf puts this really well, I think. They love their cousin. Even if they did not know how dangerous it was, they would still want to go, even if their courage failed them. Friendship, love, again, it makes everyone do things that just seem stupid at the time. But I think we can all remember forward a little and know how good of a choice it was to let them go. Now, on December 25th, the morning before the company is to leave, Bilbo decides to play Santa Claus. He gives Frodo his sword, sting, glittering belt, and a mithril coat for protection. After Bilbo girts Frodo in the armor, we see a new side of Bilbo. Just a plain hobbit you look, said Bilbo. But there is more about you now than appears on the surface. Good luck to you. He turned away and looked out of the window, trying to hum a tune. Of course, there is always a little something more about our hobbits that appears on the surface. This could even be a bit of a metaphor about the resiliency of hobbits. Plain on the outside they look, but they are made of sterner stuff. And here Bilbo tries to hum a tune. In all our dealings with Bilbo, he has never had a hard time singing a song or poem or carrying a tune. He kept up a running dialogue with giant spiders while cutting down 13 dwarves. Why was he trying to hum a tune? The dude was crying. I can imagine Bilbo thinking through this adventure where he got his ring. Could he have avoided it? Could he have avoided giving it to Frodo and given him this inheritance of danger? Whatever he's thinking, he gets himself together enough for another. I sit beside the fire and think of all that I have seen, of meadow flowers and butterflies in summers that have been, of yellow flowers and gossamer in autumns that there were, with morning mist and silver sun and wind upon my hair. I sit beside the fire and think of how the world will be when winter comes without a spring that I shall ever see. For still there are so many things that I have never seen. In every wood and every spring there is a different green. I sit beside the fire and think of people long ago, and people who will see a world that I shall never know. But all the while I sit and think of times there were before. I listen for returning feet and voices at the door. This is iambic again, but it's heptameter this time. 2 visual lines really make up 1 line, sort of. I sit beside the fire and think of all that I have seen. 7 metrical feet. I definitely had to look that term up. Again, Corey Olsen, as an actual English professor, does a much better job at breaking this down than I could. So you can check out that video next if you like, or you can take a look at the episode notes if you just want to read it and don't have the time to listen for, I don't know, an hour and a half, 2 hours. I really love the whole wistful tone of the thing. It's a wonderful contrast between the past and the future to me, what Bilbo has seen and what's coming that he won't get to see. And the hope at the end that he'll get to see Frodo again. Hope that he'll get to hear the returning footsteps of someone he loves coming back to him. The company gets ready to set out and we get some more hobbitry, but not in the normal way. I think Frodo is messing with Sam a little bit as he wrote the book. He puts in some extra information about Bill the Pony and some more talk from Sam. The stay in Rivendell had worked a great wonder of change on him. He was glossy and seemed to have the vigor of youth. It was Sam who had insisted on choosing him, declaring that Bill, as he called him, would pine if he did not come. That animal can nearly talk, he said, and would talk if he had stayed here much longer. He gave me a look as plain as Mr. Pippin could speak it. If you don't let me go with you, Sam, I'll follow on my own. So Bill was going as the beast of burden, yet he was the only member of the company that did not seem depressed. Bill, my lad, he said, you oughtn't to have took up with us. You could have stayed here and at the best hay till the new grass comes. Bill swished his tail and said nothing. I think we would kind of normally think that Sam wrote this in, but I think Sam thought himself not important enough to add in himself talking. But Frodo wrote this part in as almost a little jab at Sam, just to kind of mess with him, but adds in the musings of Bill the Pony, as surely Sam would just love that part, reading through the book before finishing it. This is hobbitry in the same way I think Bilbo wrote the prologue and kind of pokes fun at some of the hobbits in general. And it all comes from a place of love. We never really see him be anything but mean to people he doesn't like Sackville Baggins says. But when they can take a small jab at someone, it's really something born out of love. As they begin to go, Elrond lays the whole situation out and charges the company with their duty. At that moment, Elrond came out with Gandalf and he called the company to him. This is my last word, he said in a low voice. The ring bearer is setting out on the quest of Mount Doom. On him alone is any charge laid, neither to cast away the ring, nor to deliver it to any servant of the enemy, nor indeed to let any handle it, save members of the company and the council, and only then in gravest need. The others go with him as free companions to help him on his way. You may tarry or come back or turn aside into other paths as chance allows. The further you go, the less easy it will be to withdraw. Yet no oath or bond is laid on you to go further than you will, for you do not yet know the strength of your hearts, and you cannot foresee what each may meet upon the road. Faithless is he that says farewell when the road darkens, said Gimli. Maybe, said Elrond, but let him not vow to walk in the dark who has not seen the nightfall. Yet sworn word may strengthen quaking heart, said Gimli. Or break it, said Elrond. Look not too far ahead, but go now with good hearts. Farewell, and may the blessing of elves and men and all free folk go with you. May the stars shine on your faces. I love this little back and forth between Gimli and Elrond. This is something I wish I could have remembered more while reading further in the book. Gimli here is saying you should just do what you say you're going to do. And we see, I think, this attitude changed some as they chased the hobbits through the entirety of Rohan in Book 3. But at the same time, Elrond is here giving them permission to choose between Frodo and Sam and Merry and Pippin. And I think we can all say they choose wisely. Finally, the company begins their journey. I love the way Tolkien puts it here. Many others of Elrond's household stood in the shadows and watched them go, bidding them farewell with soft voices. There was no laughter and no song or music. At last, they turned away and faded silently into the dusk. There's no tra-la-la-lally here. It's a rare sight for Rivendell. No laughter, no music. It's solemn, somber. They know this is the beginning of the end. Either the company fails and Sauron covers Middle-earth in darkness, or the company succeeds and their stronghold will fade away, as will they. It seems like a foolish quest either way. Folly, some would say. But using folly as their cloak, they have hobbits. The small hands. Hobbits who will, time and again, prove to be the hands that turn the wheel of the world. And why do those hobbits depart on such a journey? Love for their friend. And that brings us to the end of the first video in The Ring Goes South. Next week, we'll travel with the company as they storm Caradhras. Thank you all so much for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and until next time, out in Tulula, day shall come again.